Hi guys, welcome to the channel. I wanted to talk about feelings of resentfulness, feeling bitter, feeling angry, feeling really negative on the recovery journey because I totally did not go through that. Who goes through that, right? No, that was a huge part of my journey, and I spent a lot of years just how Rob says being in a cortisol soup when you're going through OCD. I think I would say it was just a soup of complete bitterness that I was in. And obviously, at the time, I did not realize that it was coming from like these irrational perspectives and a lot how OCD kind of completely twists your perspective and your narrative that you have for yourself in your life. I felt like I was genuinely entitled to feel that way, that it was completely justified that I was feeling that way. Because obviously, you go through certain things in your life, you have certain experiences that you think weren't like great experiences at all, some things that you think were really unfair to you, despite you trying to do good in your life or you trying to be a good person. Other people still either treat you unfairly or other people do things to you that really create a strong impact on you in a bad, negative way as well. So you really then start to when you start to put the pieces together, you start to see like, okay, this is also bad, this is also bad, this is also bad. Like, why did I have all these string of bad things that happened to me? And even though like I didn't ask for it, I didn't do anything to anyone to experience this. Why did I go through this? And a lot of it is coming from that question of why me. Ultimately you are like, out of everybody in the world, out of so many bad people in the world, why me? Why did I have to go through all these specific like, why was I treated so badly? And it 100% does relate to unconditional acceptance or lack thereof in our life of all three sorts. Like, it comes from lack of unconditional self acceptance, because there are a lot of parts in you that you perhaps do not like. But then what happens is that you are literally rating your entire self based on those bad parts of you. Like, if you are, let's say, um, I don't know, if you get angry quickly, if you are that kind of person, right? Or if you are someone who gets jealous of other people's success, or you get jealous of your partner's exes or something like that, you recognize that those aren't good things about you, but then you obsess over it, and then you start to feel like quite terrible about it, and you self down quite a lot that I just shouldn't be this person. But then what that does is it kind of spurns these emotions of negativity towards your own self. What is happening with my hair? These feelings of bitterness towards your own self, and you start to almost hate yourself that way then. So, but then what happens is it doesn't just get contained to hating yourself, it also then goes on to other people. You take it out on the environment. Because you're so frustrated with yourself internally, you end up taking out that frustration onto other people when they either do something that proves that hypothesis of you being a terrible person, or if they do something that you feel like reflects negatively on you, or if you feel like they're doing something that is adding to like the frustration and the negativity in your life, because you're like, why is this person doing this? I'm already not feeling so great in myself. Why is this person doing things to aggravate my feelings and aggravate what I'm thinking, aggravating my anxiety, my insecurities, and stuff like that? So that's where the unconditional other acceptance part comes in, because it comes from a very strong urge and a very strong frustration of not having control over other people. Because if it were up to us as OCD sufferers, we would, because we of 100% love certainty and control. Like, if we could control our environment, not have those triggers, if we could control people's words and conversations and things around us, we would feel great. We would be like, oh, this is amazing, this is the life I want, right? So not being able to control other people, what other people are saying or doing, is it just aggravates us so much, and we hate it. And obviously, because they will do things that will trigger you, or they will say things that might hurt your feelings, or they will say things that might make certain intrusive thoughts come on more. And it builds and builds and builds. Like, it's one day a conversation happens, maybe you let it go and you don't say anything about it. The next day, then there's another trigger that they do something and you're just really bottling it up and you're like, okay, no, I need to control myself. Then there's another day where a conversation will come up where where they will say or do something that they don't know, like, really affects you in a bad way, and it'll just, like, you might just burst out at that point because you're like, why are you continuously doing things that just go against me, right? And we have this perspective that everything around us in our environment is about us in a way. We make every single thing about us. Any conversation we want to be like in the center, even if it's like in a negative way, we kind of want to make it about ourselves. And that's what really happens because it blinds us to that kind of like very intense like bitterness and rage and frustration with lack of control over the environment and yourself and other people and life as well. It really blinds you to the perspectives around you. You really don't want to look at anybody else's point of view, even if you are sitting and listening to the other person talking about how what they're thinking or how they view a certain thing. In your head, you're constantly retorting. You're like, yeah, but this, no, but this, no, but this. Like, you're still like almost like retaliating and retorting to every single thing that they're saying, because and that's coming from a place of not wanting to listen to any other opinion, not wanting any other opinion to exist. And it's like, why is my opinion not being listened to? Why am I not being heard? Or why am I not being given enough attention to? Everyone has to agree with me. Why is no one seeing my point of view? And that's what then just starts to also affect our relationships with other people, because we start villainizing them, because it's almost like we see them as people who are out to get us. Again, I did this a lot. We feel like other people are make almost purposefully not trying to listen to us, and they're almost purposefully trying to hurt our feelings. They're purposefully trying to aggravate us and poke us and kind of make fun of us for. And because when we're irritated and the other person doesn't like completely get it, and the other person might like laugh and be like, what's up with you? And then we're like, wait, this person is making fun of me and not even taking me seriously. So this complete villainization is what then just solidifies this, like, these people, like, they just don't get me, they're not for me, they don't vibe with me, they don't validate me, they don't understand me, I need to distance myself from them, I need to create boundaries. And Rob has spoken about, and Nick, both have they've spoken about boundaries, and I was I was one of those people who would create a lot of strong boundaries. And that was also like a lot of these narratives, there were a lot of these narratives online as well, on mental health accounts, and these conversations about mental health that were constantly advocating for like people creating boundaries. If you don't agree with someone, if they don't vibe with you, or if they don't I don't know, add positivity to your life, then you need to create boundaries, you need to like distance yourself, you need to do what's good for your energy and your self growth. But as for OCD, and I'm not saying that boundaries as a concept is completely terrible, but as OCD sufferers, we have to be careful about that, because for us, it's like, oh, this person triggered me, bye bye. This person says things that make my intrusive thoughts come more. Okay, I don't need to be around this person. I need to distance myself. So, and it becomes obsessive and compulsive, and it becomes like literally, it becomes a compulsive avoidance behavior then to constantly distance yourself from people, and not spend time with them and not be around them. So I was holding on to these very strong feelings of resentment and bitterness, and they were coming from a place of, I should not have gone through this. I must not be triggered. I must not be. People must not like behave with me in a way that aggravate me or trigger me or make my intrusive thoughts worse. People need to listen to me. People need to see my point of view. I shouldn't be the one listening to people, because I mean, I listen to them all the time. I mean, why do I need to listen to them? And it became a very ego thing, 100%, because it was like, I don't want to listen to people. I don't want to listen to their opinions, because if I'm not being listened to, why should I listen to them? And I think for me, one of the most important things that I had to do on this journey was to really, really put myself in other people's shoes. Not just be like, okay, let's see what happens. Yeah, but no, I still don't agree with it. No, you really have to, in a very calm, non-judgmental way, you have to put yourself in other people's shoes to at least see their point of view, even if you don't agree with it. There's so many things that, even with my family, there's so many things that I still like don't agree with, and still that I think, yeah, that I'm not on the same page with, and it was just, let's say, I think it was bad and unfair behavior. Yes, 100%. But if I really take myself through their journey of like what made them the people they are today, what made their perspectives, what formed their perspectives, what formed their experiences, what things have they been through, as a result of which they think the way they do right now, it really started to be, I really started to see the logic with which they function. And even if I disagree with it, I think what was really helpful was to just at least broaden my point of view about things, and not just see this from with blinders of like, okay, this is, but this is what I think. I had to really, and that is where you start to develop nuance in your point of view about life, about yourself, about like other people. Things are not that straightforward, that, oh, this person did this bad thing to me, therefore he's a terrible person, and like, and it's not as straightforward, it's not as simple, because there are so many things that, like, let's say if someone treated you unfairly in a certain way in a situation, there, the build up to them behaving that way, there is probably a string of things or multitude of factors that resulted in them being that way in that situation. You, for example, lashing out on people for not listening to you, or not like, or you lashing out on people for triggering you, for example, it is coming from a long history of, again, internally suffering with OCD, for having these intrusive thoughts, for being so terrified every single day of these intrusive thoughts that were plaguing you, of being so terrified that at any moment your life will fall apart. And it is coming from a place of like, you then in that moment just completely losing it with them, and just like having no composure. So there's a reasoning to it, which again does not mean that's a good, healthy, and justified way of behaving 100%. But there's a kind of a story behind it almost, and you have to listen to and see other people's story as well. And it really kind of just deflates that, this like immense visceral kind of bitterness that you're feeling towards them. You, again, like I said, you still acceptance does not mean agreement. Acceptance does not mean liking something. Acceptance does not mean justifying it. It means that you can disagree, you can dislike something, and you can not feel like something is justified, but still not be so like deeply planted in that you cannot like, that it completely like almost takes over your own functioning in everyday life, because that's what happens, like it completely takes over us, and we're just like completely embedded in that. So it's the unconditional self-acceptance, the unconditional other acceptance that is lacking, but then it is also unconditional life acceptance, because, and that is also coming from a place of, my life must not have turned out that way. My life should not have be this way. I don't deserve my life to have gone this way. Again, that was something I thought a lot, because I thought, hey, I'm just like someone who has been trying to do good in life. Like, why do I don't deserve this? Why are these things happening to me? Especially as a 14-year-old, when I did go through abuse, that was something that really instilled this like belief in me of like, why me? Why did I go through this? I did not deserve to go through this. And for so many years, I spent just really thinking about that, because I thought, okay, wait, at 14 years old, is there something really that bad that you can do, that karma or God or the universe like then makes you go through something bad? Like, have you at that point, at that age, at that innocent age, really have done something to then deserve something that bad? And it really took me a lot of years to actually realize that it really wasn't about deservingness. Because if things were about deservingness, then every single good person would have good things happen to them. No child would actually have to go through any kind of abuse because, hey, uh, no child has really done that kind of a crime to for karma or something like that to make them go through something that bad. Um, and like if bad people exist, then like they would be completely suffering in life. But we see a lot of people who get away with tons of like bad actions in their life, and there's no justice or there's no karma or whatever in that situation. So it really is not about like deservingness, because that concept really makes us so strongly believe with such conviction that like we are entitled to good experiences throughout our life. But I mean, we really aren't, because like we can because we go through all sorts of good and bad things without like the concept, like without like deservingness or not, like things are going to happen anyway. Good things are going to happen to bad people, and bad things are going to happen to good people. And again, I use the words good people, bad people very loosely, but those things are going to happen. What ultimately defines us as people is what we make of those situations, what we make of those experiences. If I did not make anything of those like bad experiences in my life, or really difficult challenges that I had in my life, I probably would not be here. I would still be just in that soup of negativity and just trying to rehash and rethink and just constantly, what's that other word, regurgitate, just all negative and bad feelings. I would not be able to move on. I would not be able to take any lessons from it. I would still be in that mindset of, okay, bad things have happened to my life. The abuse incident happened, my family did this, I was bullied in school, this happened, all these things happened. And therefore everything is negative, right? And this is the other fear of fear thing, that it ties into the fear of fear thing as well, because we are so caught up in how terrible we are feeling. It becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy that, oh, we're feeling terrible, and because all these things happen, and every single day I don't see any clarity, I don't see any relief in my emotions, then this must be forever. Like I'll probably be going through this forever. And that also skews our point of view about life as well, because every single moment that you're going through, there's so many things that are actually good about our life, but we become blind to them, because even going through them, in our head we are still focusing on, yeah, but like life is still terrible, or yeah, but this thing still happened. And like, for example, if I would be I would be at a, let's say, family dinner, for example, right, where all my extended family was, and it was a great, fun, loving environment. Everyone was joking, exchanging gifts, and all those kind of things. And I have genuinely seen a lot of people in my life who don't have that kind of thing in their life. They don't have, they're not surrounded by so much love in their family. And I'm not saying that as a, oh, look at me, like I have so much going on, but like, I'm just saying that from an objective point of view, not as a good or bad thing, but like a lot of people want that kind of thing in their life as well. So to be able to go have that, but being still in that environment, I was so focused on the negative still that I would literally not take stock of what I had in front of me. Because in my head, I would still be like, oh my God, life has been so bad. Life has been so unfair. Oh my God, I hate this. I hate that person. Look at that person doing that. Look at that person said this to me. And it just makes our point of view 24/7 bad, even though 24/7 you are not suffering. Because there are still a lot of moments in your life with family, with friends, with loved ones, where you are actually enjoying. You do have a laugh. There are things that make you smile. There are things that make you happy in that moment. There are things that literally give you fits of laughter. There are things even that can make you emotional and can make you teary-eyed, and that is also something that is good, because I mean, in the sense that as a human experience, I think all sorts of emotions make our life full. So even me getting emotional about something and maybe getting teary-eyed about something is something good for me. Like I find meaning in that. But again, when I was so suffering and deep into like my feelings of bitterness, that's where, even though I was experiencing these good moments, at the end of the day, I'd be like, oh my God, life is so terrible. And because in my head, those good moments would not register. So I had to slowly but surely take a step back away from myself and really think, wait, am I really right in how I'm thinking? Am I really justified in how I'm thinking? Should I be thinking this way? Um, is it helpful and healthy for me to be thinking this way? Is there another perspective for me to look at? Is there another way for me to approach my complete resentment from? Is there a way to dismantle this? Is there a way to break this down? What fears are playing at it? What am I thinking? What beliefs are really fueling it? Like, I mean, I wasn't even in that place of like, okay, I must be thinking of, I must be having some bad beliefs, which is why I'm thinking this. I was just like, okay, no, I mean, forget whether I'm having good, bad, justified, unjustified beliefs. I'm not going into right now immediately the categorization of it, but like, what are the beliefs in the first place? What solid convictions that do I have in my life that are completely driving this cycle of such strong, uh, like again, villainization and having this agenda against other people and life at large. And that's where I started to actually be like, wait, like I'm so caught up in just this one dimensional negative view about my life that I am completely disregarding um, other people's experiences. I am disregarding other good things in my life. I am disregarding things I should be and can be grateful for. I am disregarding so many things that I have that maybe other people do not have, and other people would kill to be in my position for those things. And when I started to, in that sense, in a non-compulsive way, examine just what I was doing, and my behaviors and my actions and how I was playing them out, it just started to make me. That's where I started to make the change in my life, because otherwise I was not making any change until and unless I wasn't questioned, until and unless I wasn't ready to admit that yes, I was flawed as well. Because that's the other thing. When I spoke about ego, it was also that I did not want to admit or even look at me having made any flaws. I did not want to admit I was wrong. I did not want to admit that I was doing anything bad. Because again, I wanted to completely, it was almost like latching onto this idea of myself that I had, that I really, really, really wanted to fulfill. And it just made, because again, in my head, it was like, oh, if I admit I was wrong, or if I admit that I made a mistake, or if I admit these flaws in myself, it makes me a weak person. It makes me less good than other person. It ranks me lower than some other person. It was just like, I don't want to be less or beneath or that kind of thing. I just wanted to completely inflate my ego constantly and be like, no, 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 I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. And so much so that it just became like a narrative of then not being ready to admit that I had flaws as well. And I think when I started to do that, that was something that really helped me as well, because, and that's a paradox as well, because we have a low view of ourselves, which is why we are like um that is why we seem to have inflated egos, because we have a low view of ourselves. So I had a low view of myself, but that is what I was taking out on other people, in a way that you didn't do this, you did this bad to me, you did this, you don't listen to me, you don't care about me. And I was just blaming, and that's, I mean, it just kind of made me want to be above. But then in the process, I was again ignoring my own flaws, which I really had to come to terms with as well. And that's what kind of made me calmer, because I was like, okay, things are not as black and white as no, I'm justified, I'm good, and other people are terrible. There's a lot more to this. And it kind of like takes the wind out of your sails in a good way when you kind of admit your own flaws as well that way. So again, but you don't also have to go down that route of beating yourself up and just self downing completely. And it takes a while to come to that balanced place of, okay, not being completely always like, no, I'm the, like, I deserve this, I'm the best. And then also not being completely like, I'm the most pathetic person in the world. There is an in between there. And I did fluctuate a lot between those two, 100%. So, but I just felt like I wanted to talk about this, you know, yeah, these feelings of, I'm just looking at my notes of like if I'm missing something, but like all these negative feelings and resentment that you really hold in life, and it just does not feel great. It really is not a great look. And it doesn't help. I mean, in the moment, it feels like, yes, you have some kind of power and control and leverage over other people by having things against them, but I mean, really, no. It's these things eat you up on the inside, and these things really just like make you feel so not great about life and yourself, and even and your relationships. And I think working on unconditional acceptance, recognizing that I can be flawed, other people can be flawed, life can be flawed, um, dismantling this idea of deservingness and fairness, breaking those beliefs down, I think it just, yeah, it just made me a more calmer person, and it made me, and that is what helped me really recover, because otherwise I was just like really strongly in a bad way latching on to a lot of things. I actually think I spoke a lot more than I had in my notes, because as I spoke, I started to remember more and more things, and started to have more perspectives in mind. So, which is why, again, I thought this would be maybe like a 10-minute video, but this is just insane. Anyway, I won't make this longer than it needs to be. I hope you like this. I hope you can relate to this. I hope you can learn any lessons from this. Let me know if this helped. I want to do more videos and more topics, so you can suggest those in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, let me know what you think. I'll see you around soon. Bye.